This lesson is about working with space. It's about the theater of space, how you discover the space. It's about sequences. So for example, as soon as you walk into a room, do you want to discover everything at one time? Or do you want there to be a sense of discovery where you go through one beautiful room and then you move into another? When I design a space, I look at it like designing a boat. Like, you have to consider every square inch. It's up to the designer, and it's the designer's responsibility to make use of every space. And so we were working on a project, a townhome in New York. The clients entertained quite often, and there was a living room and a dining room that was on the same level, and they really wanted a bar. And so we were looking at the architecture, considering where we would put a bar. Then it occurred to us that there's a cavity in the staircase below the railings. And so we actually did some investigative work, and we opened it up, and there was a space that was about 4.5 feet by 7 feet. And so we put in a secret bar, and we put it behind a hidden door. So when it's not in use, it's invisible, you don't see it. But then when it opens and you have this incredible bar, just to see the look on everyone's face, is you're taking a negative space and you're making a unique experience for your client. Little things you can do, for example, in my home, I had a cavity in a wall that was probably 6 inches deep. And I actually put a door over it, and then when I open it up, there's glass shelves and there's a mirror behind, and I put all of my toiletries, and it's amazing. It feels like you're in a department store. And just taking that tiny little bit of space, it just makes it incredibly functional for me, and it's an incredible experience. This is a project that's in Los Angeles, a residential project, and the client, who loves fashion and has an incredible collection of clothing, wanted an amazing closet. We'd already carved out, I think it's like 20 by 20 feet, something just massive, but she wanted it to feel bigger. And so we came up with a molding profile that included mirror. And behind all of these doors is her clothing, and it's shoes and handbags, and all the spaces are super organized and defined really well. And she wanted to be able to entertain in her closet. And so there's a living room setting here, which is great. And so looking at how to enlarge this space is the beauty of mirror. And we actually put it on the ceiling. So you're in this like enclosed box, and it feels just infinite. Being a good designer is about visual trickery, and mirror is the perfect medium to use. There are many different ways to use mirror. For example, if you have one room in your living room, you could either go floor to ceiling with mirror, and you could also buy several mirrors. Like, I love things that have repetition. So if you want to enlarge your space in your living room, buy 3 mirrors and put them on a wall, and it completely just transforms the room. Every project has an awkward space, and what to do is not get upset, but to embrace it. And then you're gonna design and create a unique experience that was given to you by this awkward space. And there's so many things that we've done in the past. For example, a lobby in a hotel we were designing, the reception had a 5-foot massive column in the middle of the reception. So we embraced it. We actually added more columns, and we made it an architectural feature. And what this did is it created repetition, and it created architectural interest, and it's super dynamic. So for the Bergdorf Goodman restaurant that we designed, you have this amazing building with so much heritage and architectural features. We were asked to design a restaurant on the 7th floor. And looking at the historic references, there was this really beautiful crenellated detail at the top of the building. And so I thought that was a perfect place to start for the paneling in the space. So here we looked at starting with a bunch of elementary sketches and then what that could be. And we probably did a series of maybe 100 of them. And then we really studied them. And then from that point, we went and did some prototypes. And these are some samples of some different prototypes that were made. When we design custom millwork and interior architecture, what's incredibly important is craftsmanship and having a prototype. Maybe the proportion of your molding that you designed is too large and you want it to be a little thinner. And then you might go through 3 to 5 samples and you want to get to the perfect thing. So spending the money here instead of rushing in and doing the entire space, baby stepping with prototypes. When looking at this historic detailing on the outside of the building, we didn't want to do exactly that. We wanted to do something in a more modern way. So really reinventing the space, giving it a new spirit. I love history, and going back to history helps tell the story. Architecture was the best place to start. We wanted to take that inspiration and reinterpret it in a modern way. When you're working in your own space and you are inspired, whether it's a stained glass window, whether it's a door in your home, take something and look at giving it a new spirit, modernizing it, running it through your filter, break some rules along the way, do something that is profound, but something beautiful happens. We're working on a new hotel downtown Los Angeles, and this was an existing building. It was built in 1926, and it's a Renaissance Revival style architecture, and the whole exterior is covered in brick. So when we started this project, we really looked at the history. We did a ton of research, and we found a lot of really beautiful old images of the hotel called Case Hotel at that time, and really looked at any interior moments, exterior. This is an incredible shot of a bunch of people enjoying the second floor, which was a common space. And another thing that I looked at was what's across the street from the hotel. There was a beautiful building. It's the Herald Examiner building. And there was so much color and geometry in the exterior that was a huge inspirational point for me. This is what everyone staying in the hotel is actually looking at. So it was a very important factor to consider. At the hotel on the exterior, there were these really beautiful stilted arches that were placed in between these Corinthian columns. And we wanted to carry that vocabulary on the inside. In the guest rooms, there were these iconic cased openings that really told the story of what it used to look like. And so we used some of these details to give us direction of what the entry guest room doors would be. This is the original sketch of the cased opening, and then these are looking at some options that we might do later on. For anyone, what are some architectural key elements that you can look at? What is the door style? What is the casing around your doors? What is the door handle? And that will also give you a lot of inspiration. So for example, if over time some of that historic vocabulary has been stripped away, going back to some of the existing pieces will help guide you on some of the architectural detailing. This is actually a piece of the exterior brick, which was really incredible to have. And we like bringing in a lot of these fragments to the studio so the team can look and feel of what we have, that we can work with the other materials we're going to be bringing in. This is a fragment of the historic flooring that's in the lobby, which is a beautiful color. And this is a piece of the existing molding that goes around the doors. So we thought this would be great to continue the vocabulary of this piece throughout the hotel. If you look at the profile of this molding, it's actually quite architectural. There's nothing that is curvilinear, and so everything really steps, and it's very pared down, and it's a delicate scale. So when designing into a space, are we looking at proportion that is large scale or a more delicate scale? So those are some things that you have to consider. And this is a fragment of the millwork that's on the interior of the lobby that we knew had to remain, and it also had to remain the same color. So we have these two existing elements that we knew we had to restore, and we couldn't change anything. So this was a very important part of the story. When designing and looking at how to reinvent and reimagine and bring new spirit into this incredible project, I was inspired by an artist's work that I'd seen. And when you enter in the lobby, there are these beautiful groin vaults. I asked the artist, like, would you collaborate and do a mural in the entrance? And you can see that this brought just incredible spirit and energy. And it feels actually like the building that was across the street. It's birds and flora and fauna, and it really is a spectacular sense of arrival. It gives new spirit to an old space, to an old building.